The day before my wedding, my phone buzzed with a message from Andre. My mom wants you for dinner tonight. She insists. 7 p.m. Will you come? I stared at it, letting the words sink in. Polite, firm, insistent. Like I wasn't being invited to a warm meal, but rather summoned for inspection. I typed back, "Of course, I'll be there by 7." I set the phone down and walked to the window. Outside, the world moved in its usual rhythm. Workers rolling coffee barrels down the street, a cat strolling lazily along the curb, people heading to work. But inside me, tension simmered. Andre's mother had always watched me closely, her eyes collecting tiny details, judging, dissecting. I had learned not to rush conversations with her, to answer politely and retreat quietly afterward. Today, though, I knew her gaze would be sharper than ever. I called my best friend, Marina, needing a quick reality check. "Stay calm," she said, breezy as ever. "Don't prove anything. Ask about them. You don't owe anyone a thing." I nodded to myself. I wanted a neutral dinner, no fireworks. Yet, a part of me braced for a jab. Marina's confidence bolstered me. She knew I spoke Italian fluently and had a small surprise tucked away just in case. An email pinged in my inbox. A project offer in Milan. I'd passed the interview, though I hadn't told Andre or anyone yet. Timing wasn't accidental. I planned to discuss it after the wedding chaos settled. The day passed in a blur of errands, picking up the bouquet, signing seating cards, checking the music for the reception. By evening, I dressed in a simple navy outfit, hair tied in a neat low bun. Standing in front of the mirror, I reminded myself I wasn't a girl, not a warrior, just an adult woman who wanted love, respect, and a home. At 7 sharp, I rang the bell at Andre's parents' apartment. His father answered, tall, slightly stooped, calm, gentle. He led me into the living room where Ludma Sergeyevna waited, her hair perfect, blouse pristine, a pendant glinting on her neck. Her smile was polite but cold. "Alina, hello. You look delicate. Aren't you cold in that dress?" "Good evening," I said smoothly. "I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me." Andre appeared, smiling, holding a bowl of salad. His warmth eased the tension a little. Dinner started. The table was immaculately set. Polished plates, thinly sliced salmon, a small bowl of olives. Questions were polite but sharp. Underneath the surface, a test was happening. I could feel it. By dessert, Andre stepped out to check the first dance song. I was left with Ludmila Sergeyevna. She leaned in, speaking Italian to her husband, laughter spilling over. I didn't need translation, the tone said enough. A jab, a test. I took a deep breath, walked around the table, and gently took her hand in mine. "I understood everything. You're worrying for nothing. I know how to provide for myself and care for those I love. I won't ask a penny from you." Her surprise flickered across her face, then irritation, confusion. Silence fell. Andre returned. I let go of her hand and calmly sat. The tension hadn't exploded, but the room had changed. Respect, maybe, had begun to settle in. Outside, cool evening air brushed my cheeks. My phone buzzed again. "Andre, you're amazing. Something happened. Tell me tomorrow." "Tonight, just sleep," I replied. Later at home, I finally opened the email from Milan. A year-long project, full salary, bonuses, 6 months of rent covered, a 3-day response deadline. My future felt like it had split into 2 paths, each demanding a choice. I wrote them down. Milan, freedom, growth, the project, new people, the sea. Here, comfort, family, familiarity, warmth. Between them, a question. Who am I with in each life? Sleep didn't come. My mind spun with possibilities, with the future we could have. I decided to tell Andre in the morning, not as an ultimatum, not as leverage, but as an honest chance. Tomorrow would bring decisions that could change everything, and one dinner had already set the stage for the test of a lifetime. Subscribe for more stories like this. The morning light was gray, soft, filtering through the curtains. I woke with the quiet tension still clinging to me. A wedding day is supposed to feel joyful, but mine carried a weight, a mix of excitement, fear, and possibility. I did my exercises, made oatmeal, tied my hair back. My phone chimed. Andre. I need to talk before the registration, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Okay, he replied. I'll be there in an hour. When he arrived, he sat across from me, hands clasped, waiting for the words I needed to say. I got a job offer, I began, keeping my tone calm. In Milan, a year-long project. I want you to know now. I'm not leaving today. I'm not setting conditions. I want us to decide together. Are you ready? He held the envelope, reading silently. Minutes stretched. You're talented. Even I can see that. I don't want to hold you back. I'll go. Not because I have to, but because I want to be with you. We'll start fresh, together. I'll manage my work, transfer projects, and make it work. I felt relief wash over me, tempered by the reality of what lay ahead. Milan would mean distance from family, challenges with language, the unknown. But Andre's choice made it less frightening. And what about yesterday? He asked, a teasing smile forming. I recounted the dinner, how I'd handled his mother's subtle jabs. He laughed softly. Good hit, he said. No blood, just respect earned. That's the kind of diplomacy I like. The wedding day continued in its strange, delicate rhythm. Bridesmaids fussed over my dress. Andre's friends joked, easing nerves. His parents were present, his father smiling warmly, his mother straight-backed, cautious. The registration office waited. We arrived on time. Friends adjusted my dress, whispered encouragements, and the ceremony began. We said our vows, signed the papers, and stepped out into the sunlight, greeted by the sound of laughter and the toss of rice. Relief and joy mingled in my chest. The reception followed, warm, understated, unhurried. Andre held me during our first dance, gentle, firm. The world narrowed to that small room, that small circle of people. For a moment, everything else, the tension, the uncertainty, the future, faded. Yet even amid celebration, shadows lingered. Ludmila Sergovna pulled Andre aside, speaking quietly. I watched, sensing the conversation centered on Milan. The words were hushed, but their weight pressed on me. Back at our apartment, we sorted gifts and flowers. Andre returned, tired and tense. Mom's against it. She says I should think about business and family, that I can't abandon everything for your job. I told her we're not abandoning anything. It's a step for a year, together. It's a risk, but not a game. I know my worth. I can work, learn, survive. We're not running. We're choosing. If you've changed your mind, say so. Don't hide behind fear. I haven't changed my mind. Relief and love in his eyes. I'm scared. It's hard for Mom. But I'm with you. We'll do this together. That night, we lay quietly, side by side. No words were needed. Our choices had been made. our trust reaffirmed. The next morning, I emailed the company officially accepting the Milan project. Andre notified his partners, arranging transitions. Boxes were packed, plans made. Silence in the apartment often held more understanding than words ever could. Even Ludmila Sergovna began reaching out occasionally. Small gestures, messages, photos of meals, updates. The ice was slowly melting. As the departure day approached, the weight of new beginnings pressed harder. Would distance challenge their bond, or would it strengthen it in ways neither could imagine?
Milan greeted us with a gentle breeze and a soft hum of city life. Trams clinking, cafes waking, and the faint aroma of fresh pastries drifting through narrow streets. Stepping out of the airport, I felt a strange mix of anticipation and calm. Andre squeezed my hand. "This is it," he said, his voice low but steady. Our apartment was small but bright. Empty flower boxes lining the balcony. The landlady had left the basics: plates, a kettle, a pan. The first night, we lay on crisp sheets, listening to the distant chime of trams and the muted city sounds below. No grand words, just the simple comfort of presence. Morning brought new routines. I went to the office, greeted warmly by my new team, assigned a desk by the window, and introduced to the city's rhythm. Andre stayed home to unpack and handle emails. Life in Milan was a blend of learning and discovery. I asked questions when I didn't understand, kept my head steady, and didn't shy away from mistakes. Andre slowly shifted some of his projects to remote work, adjusting to the change, sometimes overwhelmed, sometimes exhilarated. Evenings were precious. We'd cook simple meals together, walk along the waterfront, discover tiny markets, and argue playfully over which cheese to buy. The city, so foreign, began to feel like a shared secret, ours to navigate together. Small gestures from Andre's family bridged the distance. A photo from his father at the stove, captioned, "Learning to cook your soup." A brief note from Ludma Sergevna. "How are you? Working hard, I hope?" These tiny threads of connection kept hearts tethered across borders. Months passed. Andre's work grew demanding, pushing him to the limits, but we maintained one sacred evening a week. No calls, no meetings, just us. Dinner, a movie, a quiet walk. These habits became anchors in the whirlwind of a new life. Then came the opportunity I had long anticipated: a promotion to lead a small department, a 3-year contract, a higher salary, quarterly travel, and a team of 4. I brought it to Andre carefully. "I haven't accepted yet," I said. "I want us to decide together. Work is important, but so is our family. I won't move forward if you feel left behind." Andre looked at me, hands brushing the greens in the vase, the yellow lamplight casting soft shadows on his face. "I want you to take it," he said. "We'll grow together. Half of your steps I'll take with you. Never alone." We celebrated quietly, just the two of us, calling our parents via video call. Ludma Sergevna's face softened. She smiled, proud, and even promised to study Italian more diligently to stay connected. Seasons changed. Autumn brought new tests. A positive pregnancy test. Andre's nervous hands trembled. Mine were steady, yet our hearts raced. We laughed and cried, clutching each other, afraid to speak too loudly as if words might shatter the fragile perfection of the moment. We waited to tell our parents, moving carefully, savoring private joy. Eventually, we video called them. Andre's father understood instantly. Smiling. Ludmaster Jevnit cheered up, quietly whispering, "Come for New Year's. I'll knit you socks, and I promise not to argue. I just want to hold your hand." A weight lifted from my chest.
Not gone, but gentler. Freedom and love had been claimed without conflict, without harsh words, without resentment. We had built a life from choice, trust, and shared courage. Life in Milan continued, rich with routine and discovery. Andre thrived in his work, finding local clients, establishing projects, and creating a new life from scratch. I grew in my career, learning, leading, and exploring the city that had once been intimidating. Small connections remained, but distance softened the tension that had once defined relationships. When Ludma Sergeyevna visited, she approached with curiosity instead of control. Tea was poured, cookies shared, laughter lightened the room. Our bond was no longer about testing boundaries. It was about learning, understanding, and trust. A year passed. Our apartment was filled with plants, books, memories, and the quiet joy of building a family on our terms. We walked through markets, argued over pasta, laughed at language mishaps, and celebrated each small victory together. In the end, it wasn't grand gestures or dramatic confrontations that defined our journey. It was respect, honesty, and the courage to choose our path together. Milan had challenged us, shaped us, and ultimately strengthened us. Andre held my hand one evening, looking out over the balcony at the fading sun. "We did it," he said. "Yes," I replied, leaning my head on his shoulder. Together. And for the first time in a long time, I felt it fully. The calm certainty of a life built not on fear or expectation, but on love, partnership, and the courage to step into the unknown. Life had tested them, stretched them across continents, and demanded choices that were anything but easy. But in the end, love, respect, and shared courage had won. And sometimes the quietest victories are the most profound. Subscribe for more stories like this.